Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
How are you feeling today?
Uh, Relaxed, just enjoying Las Vegas and nice to be here. Nice to hear everyone's insights at the conference.
That's delightful to hear. Would you do us the honor of introducing yourself and tell us what you do?
My name's Guy Rohkin. I'm the co-founder of a company called SciFind, and we're building a social network for scientists. Yeah, that's pretty much the basis of it. That's the shortest way to describe it. Science is obviously a really complex industry, and if I were to go into it more, it's a whole other Pandora's box.
Well, the good thing is I appreciate Pandora. I was a biochemist when I first began. Life also took me on different journeys, so there is an appreciation for all that makes up matter. How did you get in started this journey?
Well, I'm originally a molecular biologist. I worked in the genomic space for a while, especially in the startup sector. I went through an accelerator called IndieBio, which was one of the first biotech accelerators, hands down. Period. We were their second cohort, the company I was with. I was their first employee, and there, I was working on, well, first as a scientist, research, production. And then later I was doing their marketing and sales. And marketing in science is very, very, very difficult. Compared to a lot of the people here, obviously in retail or B2B. But with science, even the tools that are currently available, like you're trying to use Google AdWords or LinkedIn, it's very hard to target these people just because of the contextuality of the work. It's not as simple as like, okay, jeans or like I'm selling a pair of jeans or something. It can be way more nuanced to even understand what a person would want to buy or interact with. You need a level of domain expertise, so it makes it very difficult.
And it sounds like that's the role that you get to help solve. Is that correct?
Yes, I mean, I think one of the things about marketing in science is finding a way to get scientists' eyes on things that help them accelerate their work, um, allow them to like build their communities, which in a digital space is kind of hard. The industry itself is very, despite the fact that science is very cutting edge and innovative, the communication framework is pretty archaic. So it's all based on word of mouth. It's all based on trust networks, and it hasn't really come into this kind of digital collaboration space quite like other industries have, which is kind of strange. It's very insular. It's very introverted kind of community. So they're one of the most difficult people to market to. They're highly educated, very skeptical, very paranoid. So really, I think one of the strongest things is being able to like get into that mindset. And there's so much room for marketing in it. Like a lot of the content people generate is, it can be very sterile and bland. It's very clinical, and so yet, they deserve kind of solutions that are actually appealing.
For certain. Well, it sounds like they have found the right person to help at the intersection of science, persuasion, and marketing. So we are excited to hear how you feel about receiving this award recognition. How does it feel to be seen and celebrated?
I mean, it feels great. It's nice to be kind of working in a really innovative space, and kind of being recognized for doing work in a space that there's not a lot of like marketers that go into it. It requires such a specific intersection of skill sets that, if you don't understand the space, you're going to have a very hard time trying to market to these people. So you don't have kind of simpler solutions that are maybe in more generalized consumer-facing environments. You know, like I said, everybody needs like a T-shirt or something, but not everybody needs, like a protein assay. So that's kind of what makes it tough. But yeah, it's great to be recognized for that.
And it also sounds like it's also what makes you unique is that you can kind of situate yourself through someone else's perspective, having walked the walk, and can offer some meaningful insight. And that is power there.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. The other interesting feature about the community is that if you're not a scientist yourself, even from a sales perspective, they won't really speak to you. It can be a little bit like it's if they love their work, it's not an industry that's highly fiscally motivated. So the only way to get them talking and get them interested is to actually interact on the thing that they're most passionate about. And if you don't have a background in it, it's like I said, it's going to be very difficult. Like,
It's going to be a different bridge to build.
like you can't BS your way out of it, basically. So there's no tricks that you can pull. You just gotta know it.
So, who inspired you to become a scientist?
I don't know. I think ever since I was a kid, I was always fascinated by it. It's challenging. It's stimulating. It kind of feels a little bit like magic, or at least the closest thing to it. So I'm trying to think who my biggest inspiration is in science, but I think it's not wise to almost put it on an individual, because science itself is built upon the backs of like all your predecessors, and all the scientific knowledge that's kind of accumulated to get you to that point. I don't want to be cliche, but like Albert Einstein is really great, just because with him, he, at the age of 26 had published like his 4 seminal papers, and just it was really groundbreaking. There's not really many scientists who could like make that claim, other than like Isaac Newton or something like that. So really revolutionary.
He's my favorite too. Since I was 7, I started reading Albert Einstein books and Steve Hawking. I mean, everything. My father's a scientist, so that's why it really resonates.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, just the concept of like, just like quantum physics in general is just so mind blowing when you really get into it. If anyone's interested, the best intro is to go on YouTube and watch something called the double slit experiment, and it'll change your perspective on like reality itself.
Just about everything.
Yeah. Just the fact that, and you can even kind of think about it in real life as well. The act of observation collapses it collapses the thing itself. So, well, in the case of physics, it collapses the wave function. But in the case of reality, like when you look at people, you change people.
And also, when we have expectation, right?
Yeah.
Expectation leads the observation.
Yeah, exactly. It's when you measure things, you're also being deterministic in that act. So be careful. Be careful when measuring things. You change the nature of it by doing so.
I have had such a pleasure chatting with you today. What would you say your MARsum conference experience has been like so far for you?
It's definitely very different in the sense that most of the conferences I've been to have been scientific ones for the majority of my career, like quite a lot. Maybe I've been to like 50 conferences or so, and they're very different and I feel like a lot of the panelists and the speakers, it's certainly more palatable and like you can keep up with it. Science talks are like, they're really intense, and there's many abbreviations and terminology and a lot. So, sometimes I don't understand half the stuff people are talking about.
So it sounds like you feel welcome here and you're able to engage with other thought leaders without using too much jargon.
Oh yeah, it's way more. It's just more accessible, which makes sense. Science is not super accessible. So
that's exciting. Well, thank you so much, Guy, for taking time to chat with us today. Congratulations on getting your award, and thank you for all your contributions to the field and what you do. We hope to see you again next time.
Yes, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.